Ankita can start.
Yes, ma'am. A very good afternoon to all present. I, Miss Ankita Kanade, welcome you all on behalf of AS College of Pharmacy. It is my honor to introduce respected Principal Madam Dr. Supriya Shideye on webinar entitled Career Avenues After MPharm. Madam has an overall professional experience of 29 years in teaching and research. She has received a total research grant of 1 crore 26 lakhs and 43,000 USD till date from various government, private and industry bodies such as AICT, BRNS, University of Mumbai, Biotechnology, Ignition Grant BIRAC, University of Central Lancashire, Present UK Science and Engineering Research Board, Janssen Pharmaceuticals Belgium, CEPIC, National Innovation Foundation, Isha Therapeutics, New Jersey, USA, Imami Limited, Merck Specialist Private Limited, IMCD, and name a few. Madam has 58 review and research publications in various national and international journals. Madam has 4 patents granted to her credit. Madam was a chairperson of Board of Studies in Pharmacy, University of Mumbai. She is a member of Research Recognition Committee of University of Mumbai, facilitating research at MPharm and PhD Tech. We are fortunate to work under such a dynamic principal. Madam is also a certified yoga instructor from the Ayush India. Recently, Madam has successfully completed Diploma in Yoga with distribution from Gantali Mitra Mandal, Thane. I would like to request Principal Madam to deliver welcome remarks to the participants. Over to you, ma'am.
Good afternoon, one and all, and good morning, our resource person of the day, Mr. Achal Thakur. So, on behalf of VS College of Pharmacy, it gives me a great pleasure to invite our resource person of the day, Dr. Achal Thakur, Senior Scientist, Analytical Chemistry, Mondelez International, New Jersey. And it is a great pride to also share that he happens to be our former student from Bharati Vidyapit's College of Pharmacy. I'm really happy to know about the initiative taken by Department of Pharmaceutics to organize this particular session for all our students who are either going to pursue career for masters or who have already passed masters and trying to find out their various avenues to continue their contribution in R&D. So this particular topic has been conceived with the objective that students would come to know about their career prospects in not just the hardcore pharmaceutical industry, but also in the personal care products, FMCG, or confectionery industry. Ours is the formulation development science, and during our program of graduation and further post graduation, we are getting equipped with all these skills and knowledge required for us to enable us to contribute into these industries. And today's resource person, Dr. Achal, is going to throw light on this. On behalf of VS College of Pharmacy, we are trying to create this platform for interaction. uh, there is a reason to do it because VS College of Pharmacy has a clear objective and vision to develop our institute for research and development, or research formulation research, or analytical method development research. With this intention, we already have master's program in pharmaceutics quality assurance and pharmaceutical chemistry specializations. We also have doctorate programs in pharmaceutics and pharmaceutical chemistry, and our affiliating university is University of Mumbai. So, to empower our students for their post graduation research, our institution has created the infrastructure, and this infrastructure supports our student to take up products in the area of nano formulations and its standardization, development of bioanalytical methods, pilot plant scaling up of the product, stability studies of the product, testing the activity on the animals. For all these purposes, we have developed formulation and analytical laboratories, and our state of the art two-storied animal house is helping us to complete all our research pertaining to preclinical stage. So I'm proud to share at this moment that our institute has been placed in the band of 101 to 125 by NIRF. But more importantly, we have taken a substantial jump in our overall score over last year, and we plan to be among top 100. So our team, with its dedication and our support staff and their skills, and our management, which is very proactive in supporting the quality education, we are very hopeful to make it happen. So, dear friends, those who have joined here for this particular webinar, I welcome you to this institution through online platform. And over next few months, or next 1 month at least, we plan to deliver a few more webinars which will have immense educational value. And the purpose is just to make you familiar with various career avenues or some technical nuances in the research. I'm really happy and glad that all of you have shown confidence in our institution and you have registered for this webinar. And I promise you that we will live up to your expectations through not only this webinar, but few more webinars which are in the pipeline. So without taking much of your time, I wish you all the best for your future career pursuits. And I hope that today's webinar you are going to really love. So over to you, Ankita, to take it forward. Again, warm welcome to Dr. Achal and entire team. And I extend my thanks to all the coordinators, Dr. Harsh, Dr. Rajeshri, Dr. Anita, and Dr. Mushtaq, to make it happen. Thank you all of you. All the best to all of you.
Thank you, ma'am, for your kind words. It is my pleasure to introduce Dr. Rajeshri Hirlekar, ma'am. She is a professor, head of department, and IQAC coordinator. She has authored about 42 articles and co-authored several papers at national and international level. She has 19 years of research experience in her total career of 29 years as a teacher. She has mentored more than 30 MFARM students. Innovation in her research work has earned a grant for her patent entitled Curcumin Microemulsion. She has received a total research grant of 41 lakhs 29,000. I would like to request Dr. Rajeshri Hirlekar ma'am to initiate the session. Over to you, ma'am. Ma'am, you are not audible.
Please unmute. Please unmute.
Yes. So thank you so much, Ankita, for those kind words of introduction. So without wasting your time, let me introduce to you our today's guest, Dr. Achal Thakur. Dr. Achal has completed his PhD in 2009 from the well-known institute, that is Institute of Chemical Technology. And to see his ascending graph of achievement, he has joined Kemwell Biopharm as analytical development department as a team leader. After that, he has been a part of Himalaya Drug Company as a research scientist. He has worked in L'Oreal India Limited in the analytical chemistry department. After that, he has joined Mondelez as a senior scientist one, elevated to senior scientist two, and in Mumbai he has been working, and in the flow he has been now currently in USA as a senior scientist too in the analytical chemistry department. So it is a really a pleasant moment for me to introduce him. He has, to his credit, 7 publications of a good peer-reviewed impact factor journals. He has given couple of presentations, and he is really a person who is being very sincere and hardworking, as you have already seen him as a student in Bharati Vidyapit. And just to mention, in today's talk, he will be talking about after his B Farm, he has done his M Farm and a PhD. And the process and the knowledge that he has gained after the graduation, post graduation, has helped him to climb up the ladder of the success, and currently to be at this particular position, that is at Mondelez in the US higher stature. And it really gives me immense pleasure to put in words my feeling that for a mother there is no moment greater for her to see her child's achievement, and so is the case with we as the teachers to introduce our student as a resource person. So with this uh, note, I am hereby requesting to take the thread ahead. Yes. Ankita. Yeah, Dr. Achal can start sharing his PPT and we can continue with the presentation.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. Guys, can you see my presentation?
Yes, it is very much clear.
Do I need to uh, make it large, or is it like a full screen? I'm just checking. Is that fine now? Can anyone confirm? Is it fine? You can see the screen.
Yes, so the screen is visible.
Perfect. Okay, so guys, what I'm gonna do is I'll be talking about some of the career options that I have experienced in my 15 years of career in R&D. As you know, this is a very general topic. So what I expect is kind of a dialogue, not a monologue, so that I need to understand what basically your expectations from this session, because as I said, this is a kind of a general topic. You put this keywords in a Google and you will have a lot of information. So what different expectations, or what additional information that you would like to receive in this session? Just I don't know if you can come out of mute, or you can type your queries in a chat box. That would be great. Just stick to the first slide only. Okay. Can you? I don't know. Okay, perfect. So let me tell you how I'm going to drive these sessions. So as I said, I have a diverse experience in different fields, right from pharma to personal care and now into foods. So what I've tried to do here is I kind of trying to portray an information that I have been seen or I have witnessed to in my 15 year of career, the area research area that happens in a different industry. So that how you're going to read is you basically those research area, you see, you take a note of those research area and see what which are those areas that are particularly interest to you, and how you can drive those your career into those areas. Okay, so that's how I want you to read this presentation, or want you to attend this presentation. Yeah, going to a next slide. Okay, so what you will hear or what you will learn today is basically what are things that you need to consider before choosing a career in R&D. Okay, what are those key important things that you need to think or factor in before you want to jump into a career in R&D. How the typical career progression looks like in a R&D. Uh, a disclaimer here. See, I'm only saying what I have seen in the industry. It may differ from companies to companies, organization to organize. But I was fortunate enough to work in a two major giants, two MNCs, and this is how the career progression looks like uh, in R&D. That's I'll try to portray. What are the common research areas that happens in pharma, foods, and the personal care, so that you can take a point and then you see which are those interests or topics that are of your interest. And what I've tried to do is I've tried to cover those areas which s- in s- in 4 years of your B Farm pharmaceutical career, or 2 years of master, you must have touched upon those research areas. So those research areas are completely not new to you. So you may be thinking, okay, I'm in pharmaceuticals, how I'm going to go into personal care or food. No, if you look into those areas in your 4 years plus 2 years of your curriculum, you must have studies those subjects during the 6 years. I don't know. I mean, during our graduation day, we used to very casually or candidly say that the pharmacy is jack of all, master of none. So but that's a very casual, candid statement that we used to make. But now I realize it's not the case. It's basically gives you the foundation to all the subjects, so that you can then pursue your career in one of those niche areas. Okay, going to our next slide. Okay, so what jumping let's say before jumping into research, what are things that you need to look into? The first question that you need to ask yourself, that why you want to join or why you want to pursue a career in research. See, this could be a very subjective, your own personal reasons. uh, that why is important. It could be your interest in that particular subject, your passion. You may have that strength. You think that, okay, research is your strength, or you have that aptitude, for research. So all all that you need to do is you have to sit with yourself and understand why you want to pursue a career in the research. That's very important. And it's not only you. You may sit with your teachers, you may sit with your mentors, you may sit with your family, discuss and understand, take their opinions as well, and understand if whatever your thought process is aligned with what they see you, or you can take their feedbacks on or what you think. But it is really important to consider why you want to uh, uh, join or go into a research. Okay, so once you decide on why you want to, or once it is clear for you why you want to join the research career, the next step is what. So the what is basically, is your why is aligned with your short term and long term goal? Is your why is aligned with your long term aim objective that you want to achieve? That you need to think, what are your short term goals, what are your long term goals? And then these short terms and long term goals can keep changing, and that's absolutely fine. As I said, I have written downstairs, we are living in a volatile world. So what you see on the screen is why what will keep changing over a period of time as you gain your experience in the industry, as you interact with the different people, as you spend the time in the organization. This why and what will keep changing, but that's absolutely fine, because today's world is fast moving world. There are a lot of automations happening, there are a lot of things are coming every now and then. So your why and what will keep changing, but that's absolutely fine. But if you want to take a jump, if you want to do something different, always ask yourself why you want to do it and what you want to do. So once your why and what is clear, you may think about how you want to achieve that objective, or short term or long term goals. So if you want to join a career in research, of course you'll have to do a post graduation. And you know what I see, what I want to tell you is career in the research is like ultra marathon. I don't know. I'm basically I'm a runner, so I'll give you a lot of analogy when it comes from the marathon. So marathon is something about 42 kilometers distance, but ultra marathons are something like 75 kilometers, 100 kilometers, or more than that. So it's a long term career options. So it's not like you have done your post graduation and immediately you are going to get into uh, or you are going to achieve what you aspire to achieve. No, it's a long journey, so you have to give a thought about that. It's like a test match, it's like a long distance running. Yeah. So for that, what you need to do, maybe a PhD. And then when the PhD comes, like, oh, do you want to do it in India, do you want to do abroad, do you want to pursue a career and then take some experience and then do PhD, take a gap and then do a PhD? Or there are some organization which gives an opportunity when you are doing your job. You can pursue a PhD from their organization. That's every all these things will have this own positives and negatives. So you will have to understand those things and then decide how you want to achieve that why and what. when when you consider why and what, you also need to understand what are those gaps that are basically stopping you to achieve your long term and short term objective. And one of the things that the question that you need to ask to yourself, how you going to fulfill those or cover those gaps. It could be upskillings, it could be taking new courses, it could be taking some additional upskilling courses, or any other things that you want to, how you want to fill those gaps. But what I want to take away from you from this slide is consider why, what, and how whenever you are taking a jump into, or you are taking a step in your career. Yeah, I just want to check, is there any questions in between that I need to address, or can I go to the next slide? Okay. So so the next slide, if you see, sorry. Okay. Okay. So here you will see that there are different areas which are in, you I've seen in pharma and FMCG sector. The most, the important thing that I want to take you is have a close look at these areas that are happens in pharma and FMCG. You know, they are very closely related. It's not like they're more or less similar. You see formulation development in pharma also, you'll see formulation development in FMCG also. You'll see analytical sciences, you'll see analytical science there, regulatory sciences, modeling and simulation, clinical research. The key thing that I want to say here is your technical skills. Once you have certain expertise in certain technical skills, your technical skills are very much transformable across the sectors. And once you are a technical expert in your field, you need to recognize, or you need to aware that how you can transfer your technical skill across the industry, or from one industry to another industry. Let's say you are a formulation scientist in pharmaceutical. You know how to make a formulation. Can you further extend that your knowledge, or can you apply that knowledge into personal care, into foods? Yes, it is possible. It's very much possible. Only thing that you need to think is, you need to think bold, you need to be flexible, and you have to have courage to get into a new field. And all the new companies, or the companies, from different sectors, they're also like to understand a perspective, or different perspective that you are getting from your current sector. So it's basically a win-win situation for both you and the organization, because you are basically getting your expertise into a different field, they are getting a new perspective, so it's a win-win situation. So understand that your technical skills are very much transferable across the sector. Yeah. uh, Going to a next slide. So this, here you will see a typical career progression in organizations or in the R&D. uh, Kind of a disclaimer, this is what I have seen in the organization that I have worked, I've been working. uh, what happens over here is, I'm talking about, the, the purely research based organizations. You start your career as a technician, or as a junior scientist. Okay. And sometimes you don't have to bother about these titles, because these are some fancy titles that every organization they choose as per their policies. Okay. Once you gain certain experience, you, of course, you move to a team lead or manager position. And then after certain time, that point comes that you have to decide which path that you want to take. Do you want to take a pure technical path? Okay, let me, okay, I can't. Okay. So if you see here, here it's is SMEs, that means it's subject matter experts. It's a purely technical path, or you, and it's kind of a IC, individual contributor. You may not have any team members or team reporting to you, but that's you are solely contributor and you are the subject matter expert of your area. So many organizations, they need these subject matter experts to guide them in their research, in their research field. And this subject matter expert could be anything. They can be a formulation scientist. They are expert in their field. It could be analytical scientists. It could be regulatory experts. Or further down, it could be, they are expert in their fat chemistry. They are expert in carbohydrate chemistry. They are expert in surfactant chemistries. Okay. Uh, or there is another way. If you think that you are more of a people manager, your skills, you're very good at handling teams, you can be a good manager, then the organization gives you the chance to follow a people manager's roles, you know. uh, and and at certain times that, you know, you feel that you may need to switch your roles depending on the organization's policies and the need. They give you that flexibility also. So it's not that sometimes if you take into a technical role, you cannot be a people manager. No, you can. If you then have to then do certain additional, maybe, courses, you have to take some additional learnings, and then whatever skill, as I said, if there are certain gaps that you want to fill to achieve that next step, you can do that. And mind as well, your career progression is in the industry is very much depends not only on your performance, but it also depends on your, what are the business needs, what are the company's future policies. Okay, so that's how the typical career journey looks like in a research industry. Okay, so the next slide, I'll be now talking about the more specific into how the research works into, in different industries. Like, as I said, I have diverse experience in pharma and FMCGs. So particularly, if you look at the pharma, as as you see, you have a lot of options in terms, like in Indian pharmaceutical industries is kind of a rich industry, and you have a lot of options coming from large scale pharmaceutical companies. You have biotech, small and larger biotechs. You have contract research organizations, CROs. You have contract manufacturing organizations, and then you have APIs. Okay. Uh, the fields or the subjects are not new to you. You can see it on the screen that there are different areas that you can work. And if you see basically a kind of a product development journey, it starts from ideation. Then the next step is basically preclinical testing. And once you have a lead molecules, you go into formulation development of that lead molecule. You work on a different uh, you know formulation. It could be solid, it could be oral dosage forms, it could be injectables. You do some analytical testing, method development, stability, and then you move ahead with the clinical testing. Then comes a part of a product registration, and then there's some manufacturing. But this is what, if you see here, is basically a journey of a new molecules that I'm talking about. Indian market is more, uh, you know, for the generic market. So what you do here, you will see a lot of CROs and CMOs who works on the general market, generic market, which basically talks about using a existing lead molecule, but then having either that lead molecule whose patent is about to get expired or is getting expired. Then you work on the different formulation. You work on a different process and try to get into something different, which is not mentioned in the patent. Okay, so as a pharmaceutical sciences, you can get into any of these areas that you are interested. If you are interested in pharmacology, then you can get into preclinical testing, where your testing happens in all the tissue cultures or animal models. Or if you are interested in pharmaceutical sciences, then you can get into pharmaceutical developments. uh, as I said, your interests may shift, and that's absolutely normal. If you get into industry, and then you see, okay, I'm doing a formulation development, but that's sometimes it gets, over a period of time, 5 to 6 years, I'm doing the same thing and I would like to change into different things, which basically I can use my formulation development expertise to get into a new field. That's absolutely fine. You can do that. You can if your organizations allows you to make that shift, cross-functional shift, talk to your managers, talk to your HR person, and then they will facilitate that cross-functional movement, which is also good for your career. If not, you may have you can free to go for the other options also, different organization which will give you the scope to pursue your career in a different sector. Yeah. So then jumping to next slides, which will talk about how the product development we just talk about the product development in pharmaceutical sector. Here it is in FMCG, it is more or less same. But if you see the first step, the ideation, how the product get developed, where the idea comes from, is the idea mainly comes from the consumer. The main thing about the FMCG sector is a very consumer centric area. You know, consumer is at the center and everything revolves around the consumer. So your ideation, new product idea either comes from what is the existing consumer need, what the consumer is lacking, what the consumer is need, or what the consumer's tension is that we try to solve by creating the product in the market. There are the marketing agencies, that consumer insight agencies, that they work. You must have gone into mall and you see there are a lot of surveys happens. So these surveys basically try to understand what is exactly going in the consumer mind, and then that basically those ideas or those tensions or those needs then converts into ideation, and then that converts into final market formulation. So once you have, or once an organization have certain leads from their marketing or from the consumer science department or consumer insight department, they try to work on the hypothesis development. So the consumer have certain needs, certain tensions, how you can convert that need into a product, how you can convert, how you can remove that tension, how you can create a product which will remove consumer tension. And that's basically happens with the hypothesis development. And once the hypothesis development happens, then you have certain prototypes development of the product. Okay. Once the lab creates or ideate those prototype development, it could be 5 to 6 prototypes depending on the market they are catering to. The next step happens is first few preliminary analytical evaluation, and then those prototypes goes into again for the consumer testing. Let's say you have 5 to 6 prototypes. Out of those 5 to 6 prototypes, which prototypes consumer likes the most, so then they finally filter down 3 or 2 prototypes, which then eventually goes into a tech transfer, like from the lab scales they get go into uh, factory, and that's how the technology transfer happens, and that's how the process scientist plays a role. Once the factory trials happens, few initial batches comes out, then again you have a consumer testing to understand, is the consumer is liking the product, does he need anything, or do you still want to modify something. And once that everything happens, then you basically launch a product into market. Okay, so that's how the journey happens. Now, uh, once the product is there in the market, you still work on the product, like, so there's a terminology called as co-development, where you still work on the lot of innovations, you work on the consumer needs tension. That's basically innovation area. And then the product which are already existing in the market, you still work. If there is a need to improve any quality, you work on those quality improvement areas. Or if you need to work on a margin, let's say you want to increase the margin of those, or you want to change some raw material, that's also happens. So there's a one area of a core innovation development, and then there's a second verticals of either you work on the quality or you work on a margin development. So that's how basically product development in the FMCG sector happens. Now, uh, going to our next slide. So here you will see what I've seen in the personal care industry. You have different verticals, like in pharmaceutical, you have solid dosage forms, you have injectables, you have ointment, semi-solid dosage forms. So here you see you are clear, your makeup, your skincare, hair color, hairstyling, these areas that the personal care operate, any organization operate. And I always had, when I made that shift from pharma to personal care, I was always wondering what kind of research that must be happening. but but when I got into a research sector, I was amazed to see the kind of a topic that they work on. So as I said, consumer science is the lead. As you will get why consumer science is important, because every lead comes from the consumer science. But in terms of what are the areas that you can see happening in the personal care, is you see you have the organization that, or the research subject that are working on hair and skin aging. It could be sunscreens, it could be your skin and hair hydration, skin and hair damage, your makeups, and your different, you have different skin types. You have dry, you have oily, sweaty. And here I'm talking about the hardcore basic research, and that's exactly happens in personal care. And if you want to pursue any, or if your interest is there in any of these areas, you can, once you get into masters or get into your PhD, you can choose a universities which basically gives your opportunities to work in these areas of research. Ingredient development is one of the key uh, area in the personal care. Like, it's all about the surfactant chemistry. So I'm sure you, as a B.Pharm student, you must have studied the surfactants in your third year or fourth year curriculum. And surfactant chemistry is a big topic in personal care industry. You use surfactants in shampoos, you use surfactant in face wash, use surfactant in your soaps, everywhere. So surfactant chemistry is something that you can also look into if you want to get into personal care. The bioactives, the bioactives which basically are responsible for that particular therapeutic action. And it could be the the next big thing is everyone is looking for the naturals, or organic bioactive. So how you can basically derive these bioactive molecule from natural products. And the company may not, like the big giants may not directly work on these areas, but there are uh, there are companies like Croda, or there are companies which basically supplies these bioactives to a big FMCG giants. And you can also look for these avenues into the supply based companies. Polymer chemistry, uh, proteins and lipids. Your skins and hair is all made up of protein and lipids. So how basically this your product interact with their proteins and lipids, and how they change the structures of lipid is again a big area that the personal care industry is working. So you can see how you can basically, if you have interest in those areas, how you can align your career in these areas. Analytical sciences, like, what are things like, I was when I moved from pharma to personal care, it was always to understand like what analysis they must be doing in the personal care. But I was amazed to see the kind of a depth that they have in their analytical sector. Like, the first thing is the ingredient analysis, like the stability of analysis. The second thing is how these surfactants or your bioactives interact with your skins, interact with your hair. That's the area that biophysics talks about. How your protein or lipid chemistry changes when your surfactant, when you apply a cream on your skin, and how does it changes. What are things that happens, and how you can basically improve your product or incorporate your product, so that you can certainly fast track these changes or modify these changes. Or do you, if you do not want any change to happen, how you can do that. So that's talks about biophysics. You have thermal chemistry, where about talks about the DSC, in order to understand the melting profile of your skin lipids, skin protein. Rheology, once you, like, as a consumer, if you take a cream, how the first feel is when you apply that particular cream on your skin, how the spread is, how the texture look like. So rheology and texture is also a big thing in the personal care industry, because it's all about depend. If you do not like the feel of that product, the consumer may not have that. They may not go back and buy that product again. no matter how much good it looks like. But if you do not feel it, if you feel it's scrubby, it's not very smooth, then you consumer may not like it. So rheology, understanding the spreadability of your cream, understanding the rheological properties of your cream, is a big thing in personal care. I already mentioned about how natural product chemistry is contributing in bioactives. So if you are into a natural product chemistry, if you are into isolation and characterization, this is the field for you. That's about the personal care. So here I talked about the areas, and here if you see there are certain the topics that you will get an idea about what exactly when I say a surfactant means, or polymer chemistry means, or protein and lipid chemistry means. These are the certain areas that you can see the research industry, the personal care industry is working. And I would strongly encourage you to go to their websites. They have very uh, they have very informative website where uh, they lay out what are the current areas that they are working on. So as a research student, you should frequently go and visit their website to understand what are the different areas that each company is working on. So if you see, I've mentioned some and these are again some general topics or the general research areas that most of the personal care uh, industries are working on. As I said, everyone is talking about all the personal care. Their products, they want their product to be mild on their skin, and here once a consumer apply their product, they do not want any adverse reaction or a harsh reaction. So that everyone is working on how the product can be safe, how their product can be mild. And this again goes back to the surfactant chemistry. You have different categories of surfactants: anionic, cationic, amphoteric, and how this surfactant can be mild, can be friendly to your skin is one of these areas. Uh, Again, one more idea is how the surfactant interact with your skin barrier. So your skin is made up of protein and lipid. So once you apply your surfactant or the cream, which is basically made up of surfactant and any other ingredient, how this surfactant then changes the chemistry of your protein and lipid, and how you can minimize those changes so that you basically keep the natural tone of your skin. We live in a very harsh conditions. Indian or any other countries, the climate is very humid. So your skin here, they continuously undergoes some kind of a damage because of harsh humid. So how you can repair those damages? So that's again a area that the companies are working on. uh, the bioavailability of active molecules in pharma, we have seen how basically so bioequivalency bioavailability study is a big thing here. When I say bioavailability of active molecules, I'm talking about only about the surface penetration. How if you apply a cream on your skin or hair, how deep it penetrates, and you know how much it need to be penetrated, or is it penetrating so that you see some kind of therapeutic effect. You have a lot of areas that talks about the activity or bioavailability of active molecules. Uh, One more area is sustained release sunscreen. You see, you apply a sunscreen, you go out, you go on a beach, 10 minutes, all the sunscreen get dissolved in the water, or it may not. So it may not be as effective as when you have applied at the beginning. So you come back in a 10 minutes, 15 minutes, you apply the sunscreen again. So how that can be prevented? How you can have longer lasting sustained release sunscreen, how that cream can be last on your skin. So that's again comes from a formulation development. So if you guys as pharmaceutical development are working on a sustained release dosage form, you can apply that technology same where in the personal care industry by working on the sustained release formulations. So that's and then the natural hair colors. Everybody talks about the natural organic hair color. Can you have a 100% natural chemist here? Current possible. A lot of companies are working. So that's the area that you can explore. uh, Coming to food science, I am mindful of time. We have 15 minutes, and I guess there are a few more slides left, but this is again a food science. I mean, the last topic about the food science. As I said, I jumped from personal care into a food science again with a kind of a dilemma. What kind of a research that must be happening with chocolates? What kind of research must be happening with biscuits or gums and the candies? And I was to my surprise, you know, uh, there are a lot of that is happening in food care industry as well. Uh, One of the key areas is ingredient science, where you talk about the oils and fat that are used into these products, into the chocolates and into the biscuits or into the gums. Uh, Carbohydrates and lipid science. I talked about in my third slide about the SMEs, the subject matter experts. These are the You have subject matter experts who are specialized only in fat chemistry. They are subject matter experts only in carbohydrate chemistries. They are subject matter experts only works on the hydrocolloid surfactants, gums. They are subject matter experts only on the works on the sugar and the sweeteners. So so bigger MNCs, they have specialized department in each of these areas, so that the product developer can reach out to these subject matter experts, and they can take their feedback on the hypothesis, or they can help them to develop their product by giving that the expert knowledge. When it comes to the analytical sciences, what I've seen in food is the quality is very much important. What are the moisture level, what are the fat levels, and as a food chemist, uh, the microscopy, the food structure is very much important. The structure, the texture of a product is equally important. Like when you take a cookies or when you take a chocolate, how that the snap is, how the initial bite is, and that's basically get defined by your texture and the rheology and analysis. About the microscopy, how the microscopy structure, or if you want to understand the texture, what are the microscopic technique that you can see how the product internal structure look like. How you have x-rays, you have scanning electron microscope, where you see internally how the distribution of the product happens, how's the sugar or the fat emulsification happens. That all you can see a food structure with the microscopy. That's also a big thing. Food safety, trace level analysis that happening with HPLCs or hyphenated techniques. Elemental analysis is also very important in terms of food sciences. So, and in your pharmaceutical careers, you must have come across FTIR or NIR. So NIR and FTIR is gaining a lot of importance in the food industry, because these are the rapid techniques. Just imagine, if you have to do a moisture, you either do by vacuum oven or oven, which takes maybe 4 to 5 hours if you have to do 1 or 2 samples. But with the help of NIR, the analysis can happen in a microseconds, and that saves a lot of time to the industry, so that when the production happens, the operator don't spend 4 and 5 hours in doing the moisture analysis. But when you just pick up the samples and you subject the samples to NIR on the NIR, and NIR gives you the return. So there are a lot of companies who are working on these rapid technologies. uh, One of the major company that working on this NIR and IR is a FOSS, who works on these rapid technologies to give organizations rapid solutions. And not only moisture, you can analyze any uh, chemical entity, and it could be vitamins, it could be preservatives. As long as your method is robust, you have a good model to predict that particular component. Then NR can be a solution or fast track solution. So please do know, I mean, I will not be surprised if in coming years, like all the preservatives or the small molecules are getting analyzed or by NIRs. They may not have the same or uh, uh, quantitation level that can be achieved by HPLC or MS. But if your work profile do not demand that much of accuracy or precision or labels or interference, then NR can be a solution for your industry. So there's a lot of work is happening in terms of in this rapid technology area. Uh, Here again, there's some of the research topics that you see. The FMCG food science companies are working is thermally stable chocolate. You in India, you know that it's a very hot and humid weather. So if you take a chocolate out, you see it just gets melts, and then you may not have the same kind of experience that you have a chocolate which is not melted or which is in a good condition. So how you can basically work on a thermally stable chocolate, and that's comes from the fat or the lipids or the oils that they use in the chocolate. So here's the role from the subject matter experts to suggest the fat or to suggest the oil which gives you that thermal stability. uh, we as a consumer are nowadays very conscious towards intake of sugars, the calories. So there are groups are working in the industry how to basically reduce the sugars. How what are the alternatives for the sugars? The slowly digestible carbohydrate is the same thing. Like when you have slowly digestible carbohydrates or the starch that is coming from your biscuits or anything, it may not spike your glucose level immediately after you are eating a chocolate. So that's again area that the companies are exploring. And sustainability is a big thing. Like you know the, the industry is continuously using some source of oils, and whether that particular source of oil would be sustainable, if at all, if the demand of if we have certain agricultural issues, and that particular oil, if we cannot get, what are the other sources of alternatives, what are the other alternatives that or what are the other options that the company can look at. So there are a lot of research is happening on finding alternate source of your ingredients. It could be oils, it could be fats, it could be surfactants also. Okay, so that's, I think, we still have 10 minutes, and that's all I wanted to talk about on the research options and avenues, or what are the current research happening is happening in these three areas. uh, Maybe I'm open to some questions, and if at all there is some time permits, I can take the questions right away also. Or moderators or facilitator, can they help me with any questions?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Dr. Achal Thakur, sir, for your insightful talk and sharing so many ideas, right from career options in personal care to career options in food science. We are open to question answers now. So let me just see.
Okay, so there was, I guess, one question: how to become a SABs in after getting a B Farm. So this subject matter expert is a highly technical role, and you, as I said, research is something like a it's a long journey. It's a test match or it's a ultra run. So I would suggest, if you are particularly passionate about any of these areas, or it could be anything, it could be one niche area, you really need to go for higher studies, maybe do a postdoc. After doing PhD, you can get a postdoc to have a more perspective about the research, and then get into an organization or research institutes which basically working in those areas. And then when you spend a considerable amount of time, then you become a subject matter experts in that particular fields. So B Farm or just a graduation won't help you to get that SME level, but further studies and spending a good amount of years in that particular field will can you can be a technical lead into that particular area. My
So,
last slide
Dr.
say,
Achal, it was a
yeah.
very important and very effective session for our students. Like you have covered all the sectors, right from pharma, FMCG, analytical, regulated, to start with as the career options for the students, and stress the importance of journey of any product from the lab to store, store shelves, and career options available. That is, many times the students think that when they are doing masters in pharmacy or specialization in the pharmaceutical related field, only are the options available, but it is not so. Options are available, especially in FMCG, in food sciences as well. And basically the science remains the same, the technical contents remain the same. Your application areas must be differing, that you are going for example, you give one good example of biscuits and the type of the snap sound you get. You analyze it with the help of a texture analyzer, the consistency of the formulations, and very important was the stability, as you clearly explained with the help of the chocolates, that the chocolates are not stored in our regular refrigerator, but when we see the uh, this refrigerator, especially given to that vendor by that particular company, Cadbury's for example, wherein they maintain a particular temperature, so that specific crystal polymorphic forms doesn't get converted into another polymorph, which will make the product too hard for the consumer, and that will make the consumer not satisfied with the product. So basically the science is very important. And uh, it is not that your graduation will give you an overview about all those. This is very much necessary that you continue with your further higher studies of masters and PhD, and that gives you expertise or skill in that particular area, and makes you expertise in a specific technical field. So that is very important. So we are just welcoming if any additional questions are there with respect to what are the avenues. Yeah, there's one question: how to get the expertise in the lipids or carbohydrates to be SME in that area with a degree of B Farm?
Yeah, I guess I answered that questions
Yes.
initially, and that's if you see my last slide, just mentioned be brave and deviate. So that's what I wanted to make a point again, that it's a very fast changing world, and be bold enough to switch your careers as you get experience. From it could be from personal care to pharma, personal care to foods, or foods to pharma. Just don't restrict yourself. There are a lot of avenues are open, and there are a lot of research opportunities are open in the industries. So be bold and take that step, and I'm sure you won't be repenting on your decision.
Thank you, Dr. Achal.
Any
It is really a enlightening session, and you have opened new doors of awareness to our students by talking about FMCG and confectionery industry. And I'm very sure our research scholars will now start exploring the career options in these areas also. And as rightly mentioned by you, they would try to bridge the gaps in their knowledge by acquiring some courses or some peripheral um, uh, qualifications, so that they are very well absorbed in these sectors also. Really a very thought provoking and enlightening session, Dr. Achal. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here. Yeah.
that was our pleasure. Ankita, over to you.
Yes, ma'am. We have an upcoming virtual workshop on protocol writing for animal studies. Kindly register for the same. Stay tuned to our social media pages regarding the updates on many such interesting and informative events, and also subscribe to our college YouTube channel. Good day and happy learning.
Wait. Vote of thanks is pending, dear Ankita.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yes, ma'am. I
Yeah,
would now
sorry.
request Dr. Rajeshri ma'am to deliver vote of thanks.
Yeah. So many thanks to Dr. Achal for sharing his thoughts. So, respected Principal Madam, today's resource person, Dr. Achal Thakur, Dr. Anita, Head of the Quality Assurance Department, Dr. Mushtaq, Head of the Pharmaceutical Chemistry Department, my colleagues, all the students and the participants, it gives me great pleasure to propose the vote of thanks. We are thankful to Shri Bulaniji, our founder trustee. Sir is a constant source of our motivation. We are thankful to Professor Jhanadas Madam for her guidance, and tons of thanks to our beloved Principal Madam for always providing the support. Many thanks to Dr. Achal for sharing his thoughts on how to inculcate the technical skills and how to take it further by choosing an appropriate career. And we really appreciate his professionalism for being available early morning in the US for delivering this interesting session. Many thanks to all the participants for attending the seminar. And participants are requested to be in tune with our social handles to get updated with our upcoming events. So, as told by Ankita, our immediate upcoming event is workshop on animal study protocol in the month of July. So, thanks to all of you. Wishing Achal a belated happy birthday. Yesterday was his
Oh
birthday.
yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, all the participants. Have a great evening ahead. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Please do not forget to fill up our feedback form. The link is shared with you in the description box. We appreciate and honor your feedback to this session. Thank you.
We'll close the session. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Principal Madam, and thank you, Ankita.